Hello! Today, actually, we're in the climbing gym. So yeah, this is my local climbing gym. This is where I come to train. But today I won't be climbing. I will actually be doing the lattice training test. Yes, I have called Tom Randall to help me out to do some lattice tests to see if I am actually capable of climbing 8A. So why do I actually want to do the lattice training test? Well, I did the Magnus Meatball test in a few videos back, you can go check that out, and I think the results were, well, somewhat unreliable.
Que se corresponde con un 8 más 8B.
I have managed, in the last 5 years of my climbing, I've managed to make it up to 7C plus on sport climbing and 7C boulder.
7C boulder.
I emailed Tom Randall to ask him if he would help me do the lattice training test to actually see if I was capable of doing 8A and see what strength I really had in comparison to all the data that they have. So in today's video, we're going to do the lattice training test and yeah, hopefully at the end see if I'm able to do 8A or not. So the test, quite an in-depth test itself, so I'm just looking at it here. It comes on this sort of web profile, so you get everything put into a nice listing for you. All of the tests have like a description, and for those more complicated tests, you actually get videos as well. So this is really, really handy if you have never done a test before, because it really makes it simple for you to go through. However, it's 3 days worth of testing, which is quite a lot, so this is going to be a long video. It also asks you things like your crimp styles, it looks into flexibility, so it's really ranged in terms of the ability that you have there. Today is testing day 1, and we're going to have a warm-up session. We're going to do some finger strengths, some flexibilities, shoulder engagement, a couple of physical exercises, so the low row, and some press-ups, and also some aerobic profiling. I don't know what that is, but I will get back to you. Right, let's get to the tests. These little scrunchy things with my hands because we've got some finger testing and I want to make sure that my fingers are really warm before getting in. Wow, I'm getting pumped, eh? Like seriously pumped. Cool. Whew.
Enough warm up.
Enough warm up. Well, if we're doing box split, I need to warm up really well. My hips, no? Because box split is like a stretching one, and had we done this test maybe 6 months ago, I would suck at it. This is pulse raising activity, right? Wait, I can't do 5 minutes of this though. Okay, warm up done. So the first exercise that we're going to do is going to be finger strength. So I've got to basically hold a 20 mil edge for 7 seconds with the most weight that I can put added to it. So added additionally to my body weight. When I've done this before, I've come around the 20 kilo mark. So I kind of already know how I'm going to go into this. So I can probably work from small increments from about 10 onwards. Good. Like, obviously I had to pull a bit. It's a bit harder than the warm-up, but I felt good. Yeah. This. This right here.
Looks like a lover kiss.
It is not a lover kiss. This is actually from a comp on the weekend, and it left me with loads of scars. I have this one from wrapping around a volume. I have more on my knees from where I tried to put in knee bars.
So we can say it's volume's love kiss.
Yes, it's a volume love kiss. To the volume. Okay, so 22.5. Definitely no more. which is what I thought. I haven't gone up at all in the last 6 months. Or down, so it's good. Stable. Now we have the box split, and we're going to measure from my heel to my heel how wide I have my flexibility. Now, as I said earlier, 6 months ago, this would have been super hard for me to do. However, I have got a little bit better, but I'm still not hugely flexible. Estoy como una tronca.
Heel to heel. Venga, después un poquito más. Venga, venga, venga.
Yeah, that's it. 150. 150. So the next exercise is basically shoulder engagement. So it's to see how we engage our shoulders. So there's like options of positions. So there's 5 positions. So 2 hands here, engage, 1 hand engage, other hand engage, and checking those individually. I'm pretty sure I can do 1 arm engage. The other arm, just to check. Ooh.
Ooh. Go down and go up.
I think position 5. Another flexibility exercise now. So this is the forward bend. Here, position 1, position 2, position 3, position 5. Now I have to do the next exercise, which is low row. Here, I'm not entirely sure what low row is actually for. What is low row for?
Row? No?
To row. That's it. I could not do another curl of that. Like, I felt like if I put more kilos on, potentially my bicep will just go back out. Another flexibility exercise, which is knee to wall. I did try this a little while ago, actually, because I saw it in a video. I wasn't very good. But basically, we have to measure the distance between which I can do this, getting further and further away from the wall. I'm a little on a weakness side of this one because I have really short legs. Let's try 10. 10, yeah. Oh, I'll go for 11.
Slightly closer to 11.
Is that 11?
10 it is.
So now I have to rest 5 minutes because I'm going to do the press-ups exercise. Now the press-ups exercise is basically I have to do 1 minute. It's 1 minute, right? 1 minute worth of press-ups and count how many I do in that time. Now, the thing to it is you can't rest in between. So you can't like, it has to be a constant pace. I'm pretty good at press-ups, so I don't think I should suffer too hard, although I did climb pretty hard on the weekend.
Venga, 28. 29. Venga, venga, venga. One more. 30. Venga, venga.
30!
No, 29.
29! Oh. Oh. That last one, seriously, I just couldn't push anymore. But I got to the 30, they got to the full 60 seconds there. We're 29. The next exercise was the anaerobic profiling, 50% total load. So that meant I needed to take off actually 40 kilos worth of weight. Okay, voy a sufrir. And I was doing this on a 20 mil edge for 7 seconds work time and 3 seconds rest time. Ahora estoy bien.
¿Todo bien?
Sí, todo bien.
Seguimos.
Oh no. No. Ah. Ah. ¿Cuántos? 50. Ay, 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 ay. Quiero dormir. So that's it for the testings today. For the first session, I now have 2 more days of testings. I feel pretty tired because of the press-ups. I think I might have gone all out there, and also with the finger hangs, they're pretty intensive. So test day 1 was really intensive. There was a lot of stuff there, but I've already checked out the other test days and they're a little less intensive. So I'm hoping it's going to get a little easier as we go along. I'm really happy because I made a lot of personal bests and I surprised myself a lot. So I'm very proud of myself with testing day 1. See you tomorrow. Hello! Day 2! Who's motivated?
Yay!
And we can see Lucan. It is too early for Lucan today.
So, what are you doing?
We have quite the lineup of tests that we have to do. I'm feeling a little bit sore from the tests the day before, but not too bad. I think it's just the press-ups. Like, I got my pecs feeling a little bit tender, but I am ready. Let's take a look at what we got. Basically, I have to decide which sort of grips that I like to use and give them a rating. I have another aerobic anaerobic profiling, but this time it will be 70% of my max, so I don't think I'll be holding the 8 minutes that I held on the 50% one. Then I also have to do a 2 pull-up rep max. Then also some rings, just checking what positions I can do, which actually, because we're on a short time limit, I actually did that one the day before. But you, if you do the test, you'll do it in day 2. So yeah, that's why there's a different outfit. I'm going to be taking off weight because it's 70%. I need to take off 70% of the weight. No, wait, sorry, 20%, right? No, 40.
40. 50.
Shit. No, okay.
25.
It's the morning and I'm very tired.
How much are you taking off?
Only this much. It's so tiny. So this is my new Sarah chalk bag and it's got sheep on it. So that's why I wanted to show it with you, because it's got sheep on it. Baba loco, como yo. Baba loco. It was a good joke, love. I'm loco. Yesterday on the 50%, this felt like nothing.
Fuerte, 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 fuerte. Eso es. Venga, venga, venga. Fuerte, 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 fuerte. Eso es. Venga, una más. Vamos, 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 vamos. Venga, venga, venga. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Eso es. Sigue, sigue, sigue. Venga, una más. Venga, venga, venga. Va, que sí, venga, aguanta, aguanta, aguanta. Venga, 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 que nos da. Ya está casi. Venga.
Oh, they really caught up with me really fast. I suck.
It's good.
I did 8 minutes yesterday on the 50% off, and 50%, and on the 70%, I did 2.8. I suck at holding my own weight. You have to start the pull-ups like incrementally, like we did with the dead hangs. I do this exercise already, so I have a pretty good idea of where I sort of sit. So I'm going to start with 10 just to warm up.
So the hard part of the pull-ups is actually getting to the pull-up bars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1, 2.
You're going slower in the second one, eh?
Of course I was going slow on the second one. It gets harder on the second one. And also I tried to go really low because I know that you penalize me whenever I don't go low enough.
I penalize you.
Yes. Vale. Okay, here we go. Vale?
Venga. 1. Venga, 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 que sí, venga, que sí, venga, que sí. ¡Ole!
Whoa!
32.5. I think that's the limit.
You think? What do you think? I think I was struggling
Sí.
to come over.
That was a good one.
Yeah? So we don't have rings. Basically, this one I just need to hold the position. I'm pretty sure I can go down straight to the Y, because I do that in my training. Just check the other one. Oh, the T. The T.
And that's a tip to you from me, Mr. T.
Justito, ¿eh?
Huh?
Justito, justito.
So that's it for day 2. Day 2 I found really, really cool because I found out that I can actually do pull-up with more than my 50% my max weight. Super excited for day 3. I'm also quite excited to finish up the round of tests. This is my 3rd day of the tests. And, well, Lucan wasn't able to join me. So I brought another friend. ¿Qué estás haciendo? Go, go play. Go. Corre. So the test today, the last couple of tests I have is max pull-ups. We also have some more dead hang tests. And we have the plank test. But we actually did some of the plank tests yesterday because I had more time yesterday. Hopefully my fingers won't break by the end. Flexibility. So this is called Wall Superman, but it should be called Wall Superwoman because I am a woman. Sit with your bum on the floor, back flat against the wall, with knees halfway to the chest and feet flat to the wall, touching. Yeah, so this is position 1.
Good. Good.
Position 2.
Sí. Good.
Position 3.
Sí.
Position 4. The next one is going to be shoulder mobility. So trying to see, oh, I'm going to be really bad at this one. I just felt it that, like, I don't know if I can do this one. So it's like how far you can get your hands, like, to this position at the back. Where am I? I'm not touching.
No.
But I'm almost touching. But on this arm, no.
A ver. Yeah, that was 3, definitely.
What? Well, maybe 3 then, because you're only allowed to put one arm in. The best one or the worst one? So suspensions again today, and we need to take off 60, so we need to do 60%. Well, according to the lattice sheet, because it does it for me, I need to take off 10.5 kilos. Oh, I'm in so much pain. Oh, vale. There's like, I think maybe I could have gone maybe 1 or 2 more, but I'm really starting to feel like over pumping pain. So the next exercise we're going to do is the hollow body exercise, which is like a planking exercise, which basically I need to hold this for as long as I can. But if I hit the 120-second mark, then I can basically just stop. So let's give it a go. Okay. Oh, I need to rest. Similar to the hollow body, we now just need to do a plank. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a go. Wow, it's starting to beat me. How many more?
3, 2, 1.
I purely did that out of stubbornness. Oh, my abs are gonna hurt tomorrow. So Lucan got a little bit jealous watching me do all of those planks, and he's gonna come and join me to do the left and right planks. So again, if we hold it for 4 minutes, then we can quit the exercise. So to add a little bit of competitive edge to it, Lucan's joining. So let's see how we do. Give up.
Never. Oh, sí, I need to give up. I'm gonna die.
Okay. Ow. 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 Oh. Bene, Next, I actually have the pull-ups, and this is the last of my tests. So it's how many pull-ups can I do in 1 minute? Soccer, how many pull-ups can I do in 1 minute? Oh god, this is going to be hard. Okay, so 1 minute. 1 minute on the clock. 1, 2. I'm pretty sure I used to be a lot better at those. Oh, I'm just really tired. Okay, so that's all my tests done. What was a surprise to me, after I'd finished the test, so today, I got results instantly. The box split test, so this is the one where I went out really long. You scored 150 centimeters, or this could be translated as 91% of your height for the block split. Wow, I had no idea I was so flexible. I'm really looking forward to talking to Tom and actually digging deep into what he feels from these values I should be climbing, and what he would recommend for me in terms of finding a project that would suit my particular styles based off my results. See you over in the results. So it's really nice to meet you.
As I say, it's quite funny chatting to you because I've looked at a couple of your videos and I always get that funny effect to me that when I've seen you on screen, you seem really familiar. And so you like your brain slightly questions whether you actually know the person way better than you actually do.
So basically, I've done the test. I've done a few climbing tests before with sort of local trainers here in Spain, and the test was very, very sort of extensive, I'm going to say, but it targeted areas where I didn't even think about, if that makes sense. So like doing the box split and doing the knee to wall and stuff like this, I was really baffled by, and I was baffled by how bad I was at it as well. Especially the knee to wall. It really hurt. I've made it to like 7C+, but I want to push a little bit more, push the boundaries of what I can do, but there's always this sort of hesitation of, can I actually do it? If that makes sense, like both physically and mentally. And that's why I wanted to come and speak to you to actually work out if I could do it, because one of our videos, I did the Magnus test, and it came out with an outrageous result, and I want to see where I actually really sit in terms of all of this.
Point. And yeah, I think one of the things that you will find with assessments and testing and data and things like that is that the more that you default to the mean of a standard climber at any one point, then in a way the greater, I don't want to say like reliability, but the greater the pattern or the confidence that you can have in terms of using the data for your climbing is going to be, because data has greater value in larger and larger numbers. And if you look very, very different to the experience or the type of other climber at your grade, then things are going to get a little bit more interesting when it comes to data. So even when you were saying just now about how you've actually been climbing not very long time and you've achieved quite a high grade in a short space of time, I was immediately going, well, this will be interesting because you went on way further in your climbing than I did in that amount of time. And you have compared to lots of others. So quite often in those sort of scenarios, you end up with climbers who can physically be really quite capable, but maybe technique, strategy, experience-wise, still have more time to catch up. So you have to have a bit more sort of nuance in terms of the data interpretation.
Yeah.
And then secondly, when it comes to testing, is that it generally works better the broader the number of tests that you have involved and the sophistication of the models that are used to interpret or interrogate that data. So, for example, the stuff that you have with the 9C test, I actually thought they did a job of producing something which came up with some somewhat meaningful results, because those guys just literally stuck a finger in the air and just put it with what they thought was reasonable for the grade. It wasn't a case of collecting loads of data and going, oh, right, these are what the models look like. But they're really experienced coaches, so they had an idea of what felt about right. So it's always interesting seeing people who've tested with a number of different models and going, oh, what do we see from this? So I think it's interesting, and it's worth understanding the kind of caveats with that.
So talking about interpretation, so I love the actual initial assessment results sheet that you give out, because firstly, it's instant. And you said that one of the main things sort of mentioned here was my finger strength would be something that could be improved upon. And I think I kind of know that, actually. It's definitely one of my weaker points, because I have fingers that swell up quite a lot. And so I've almost stayed away from actually training my fingers too hard. But I wanted to know, it says that this is better than 56% of climbers at your current grade. So I think that was the overall of my finger strength. But yet it says that I need to work on my finger strength. So I actually got a little bit confused by this sort of comparison.
Yeah, so I think the way to sort of interpret this kind of information is that if you look at the one factor physiologically that makes the biggest difference in terms of climbing performance, and that is finger strength. That's a kind of a rule that you can pretty much stick to, whatever the discipline, whatever the background of the climber. So a lot of the time we'll default quite heavily or side towards a bit of advice where we'll say to any one climber is, it's really good to continually work on your finger strength, and the degree of focus on it depends on the other factors and where you sort of sit on that scale. So I think that's one thing to note, is that we will generally say, let's work on finger strength, it's important. But also is that you sit in that kind of middle group, sort of the largest part of that bell curve. And really what we would like to see is that you move up towards I don't know, say the top 25% of that population, or top 20% of that population, because it means that as you have your goals of moving up towards the next set of grades, you're sat in that basket of the population which is now prepared for the next set of grades. Because if you're saying, oh, I'm right now at 54% or 70 plus, well, that's going to inevitably drop down to under 50% and quite a bit below for 8A, and the same for 8A plus. So in terms of preparing a climber, if we're saying, right, we want to get you towards 8A plus, we want to move you significantly higher in the current 7C plus range. So that's the logic there.
Cool. Then, so in comparison, do you think that I should really start lightly working on my fingers more to sort of bring myself up into my goal range?
In terms of improving finger strength, the answer will depend on how much finger strength work you have currently going on, and also what part of the year you're in. So if you are in the part of the year now where you're already projecting, trying things, going outside lots, doing lots of power endurance climbing, I would say no, now is not the time to work on finger strength, because the risk is higher and the reward is lower if you try and start working with finger strength right at the same time as power endurance. They're not that compatible, I would say, apart from elite level climbers, and having described some problems with your fingers anyway, I'd say that would not be an overall balance of risk reward there. But in the period of the year where you're doing more of that kind of preparation, foundational work, in terms of making meaningful changes in terms of your physiology, then yes, this would be a really good time to include this into your training.
Because I'm at the point where I actually want to go looking for an AA. to try. And I will admit, I probably have a bit of a mental barrier going on here because for some reason AA sits in this luminous bubble up there that's very, very scary. And all the people that I know climb AA and I climb below that, and I've kind of mentally dealt with that. But I'm working on it. That's a different ball of fish. Kettle of fish? No, sorry. What is it? Kettle of fish. Thank you. But what I want to know is, in your opinion, if I am to go fishing for an AA project, what would you say I should go for?
Two main things that I would look at in terms of a project for an 8A is, one, it's got to be really motivating, something that inspires you and drives you on, because ultimately this thing's going to take quite a bit of work and you're going to have to repeatedly go back to it and do it multiple number of times. And then the other bit to kind of cover, aside from the kind of physiology element of it, is that there's a pretty high degree of convenience with it as well. So again, if it's just in a country that you can't get to, or a crag that's always wet, or it's got a massive walk-in and you can't find climbing partners, again, it's a no-starter.
Yeah.
And you're unlikely to get very far. But then in terms of appropriateness for you and what sort of route I would be choosing, is I would be looking for something that would be in the longer end, so more endurance-y, but very consistent difficulty of move category of sport climb. Not just because it will suit the physiological status or where you're at in terms of those physical results right now better, but more that they're way more projectable. You can get further in bite-sized sections on the route and get this motivation, get this positive feedback, and you can refine the techniques through each of those sections and put together the project in a sort of a bite-sized way, much more straightforward.
So what you've said, probably I would be more suited to a bit better endurance-y route rather than a ridiculously bouldery route at this point in time.
For sure.
This year, well, this summer period at least, because I'm in País Vasco, so this is when I'm gonna start projecting, so to speak, and go and try and find one that suits me. So, have you been to País Vasco?
No, I keep getting told to go there, and I'm really into my food as well. I know it's also amazing for that as well, that region, and I'm like,
So you haven't been to País Vasco, so I was going to ask you if you could recommend any AAs in País Vasco, but it looks like I'm going to be recommending them for you. So, what would you say for you makes a good route and makes a good challenge for you?
I suppose the best challenges, aside from them obviously being fun and that you have a good time with it, and you know it's not dangerous, and that you're not going to get hurt or walk away from a nasty experience in life. I think the best experience challenge for me is one that gets me right into that zone of just a bit of unknown. You don't quite know whether it's maybe a bit too hard, or maybe too complex, or maybe too time consuming. I like treading that little fine line of unknown. I like operating in that place, and that's the bit which I really enjoy. But then you bolt in really good climbing partners, and you bolt in great rock, good weather, nice culture.
I want to say thank you so much for letting me come in and do the test, and thank you so much for coming and joining me here and spending this time with me doing this interview. It's definitely been really interesting doing the test, and I'm really excited to put a lot of what I've learned from doing the test actually into practice. So I actually know what to go and look for now in terms of a project that's motivating, I can get to, and that isn't too bouldery. Basically those three factors.
Yeah, I'm really happy to support, and I hope it's been helpful, and just give me a shout if see how you get on with the project and everything like that.
Then I will leave you be. Ciao.
Yeah, really nice to meet you, and see you soon.